Welcome once again to the Bills and Bones podcast. I'm Gio, and I'm here as always with my co-host PC. We started Bills and Bones to talk football for the fans, with a focus on PC's team, the Buffalo Bills, and my team, the Las Vegas Raiders. This week, since it's preseason, we're going to focus on just the Bills and the Raiders. Our normal season show, we're going to talk about a little bit more teams, but for preseason purposes, we're just going to focus on what's going on with our guys. We're going to take a look at next week's schedule and what we're excited about as well. So we started off with Raiders last week, so let's start with some Bills action. Well, what you see?
Well, gee, make sure we pay some bills and do your commercial before we get started here. I would hate to let the fans down.
Yes. Okay, let's see. This show is going to be brought to you by Merv's Roadkill Salsa. Merv's Roadkill. You don't have to know what's in it to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
That was for all those 315ers. You Buffalo people don't know anything about that.
Not much of a roadkill guy myself, no.
You're missing out, man. So, should Bills fans be hanging themselves now? I mean, last week everyone suggested that be the plan. What do you think? What'd you see?
I mean, the injuries are certainly starting to pile up and becoming very concerning. I mean, not going to get into that right off the bat. I'd like to just talk a little bit about some of the highlights, and the highlights would start first and foremost with the defense, who made bad Russell Wilson look worse. The edge rushing was fantastic from Rousseau. He really, really got into him. And then just to watch some of the linebacker play that was going on in spite of the fact that Milano is out. Anderson, the new linebacker, who actually went to the University of Buffalo, went to Lancaster High School, and now has an opportunity not only make the team, but could be in a rotation with Dorian Williams to play in the middle of the defense and actually take it over and allow Bernard to roam a little bit more freely. Now, obviously, Milano going down is a huge injury for this defense. After what we went through last year with the defense being decimated during the playoffs and ultimately having to bring in some guys off of the street to basically play against the world champion Chiefs, having this start as a trend so early in the season is very, very disappointing. But again, there were some certain highlights. I loved seeing what Ray Davis could do. I think he's going to be a legit running back in space.
He is a tiny little guy. It was funny seeing him out there like in the huddle and stuff.
He's a tank.
Funny seeing him standing there.
211 pounds.
He was wily.
And he's exactly what the doctor ordered, with a change up with the running backs we already have. You know, Ty Johnson, who isn't playing right now, but when he's back, he's more of that bowling ball downhill type of guy. But of course, Cook is going to make you miss in space and also run you over and catch some passes while he's doing it. A three-headed monster like this is going to be awesome for a Bills team who doesn't mind being very deep at certain positions. Right now, cornerback is one of them. We're looking pretty strong there with the return of some starters and also, an Elam playing much, much better in camp, giving himself an opportunity to be a part of the action. Now, as far as the injuries go, Trubisky being out is going to cause some serious problems for the Bills right off the bat. As a matter of fact, right before the show just started,
might have done you a favor too. So.
I mean, we talked about it last week. The last thing I want to do is see him on the field.
He's a garbage player.
He is, and hopefully he's out there for garbage time. I don't need him to be on the field whatsoever for the Bills this year. I think Josh is going to be fine and continue to be wise when holding on to the ball and getting out of bounds and starting to slide and do some of the more veteran things he can do to make sure he keeps himself out of harm's way. The Bills just signed Anthony Brown, who played for the Ravens a few years ago, and I see you laughing,
Raiders fans, you know him.
Yeah, I think you guys gave him a cup of coffee maybe a week or two ago.
We gave him 24 yards, and then we said, "Yeah, get out of our uniform." Yeah.
Well, it's obvious the Bills looking to take advantage of any veteran who's out there, any free agent that's out there. And again, I'm going to push for this like I did last week. I think they should take a serious look at Tannehill, bring him in here. He offers Josh an opportunity to pick his brain, think about what other teams used to do. I mean, we played against Tannehill a lot
Yeah.
back when he was with the Dolphins and of course with the Titans.
And
He's
that's
a
not something that Brown Jr. is going to be able to do for you. I mean,
right.
he's got nothing to offer Josh Allen, whatsoever. He's literally going to be a place filler. I'm kind of curious to see if he'll play Week 3 because I don't see why they possibly put Josh out there. Like, why would they put him out there? So I'm kind of curious to see if he's going to be running
Week
your
3
offense
of
for Week 3.
preseason. Yeah, there's no way
Yes, yes.
Josh won't be in that game. That is going to be a showcase for all of these free agent quarterbacks that they're bringing in here to see who can obviously now win the backup position of the Buffalo Bills, who have been a contender for the Super Bowl over the last couple of years in every scenario. So, of course, there are going to be guys that are trying, and we have a little bit of money to spend. So, most of these guys are guys that are looking for a job, looking for a shot right now, and I'm gonna die on this hill. I think having Tannehill in camp would be great for Josh moving forward. Now, some of the other injuries that are very concerning to me. Quentin Morris was playing great, not only as a option for Josh as a big tight end, but his special teams play was fantastic. I've been watching him very closely. He makes plays. He makes tackles. He's the type of guy that, it was funny, I was talking with my friends before he had gotten hurt and said, hey, man, this will be the dude that blocks a punt for us late in the season when we really, really need it. Obviously, losing him is going to suck for the special teams. Tight ends we're pretty deep at, but, having a guy like that who's expendable and can go out there and contribute, in special teams has always been important to the Buffalo Bills with the weather that we had, with the slippery conditions that sometimes come in the winter. So, having guys like Quentin Morris that have already played here for a little while, it's going to be big to have him back down the stretch. So we're going to need him. We also lost Curtis Samuel. We also lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling, two free agent wide receivers that were coming in here to try to compete for a job. I really hope that one of them, and I thought it would have been Samuel, and I still do think he's going to get some time. I don't know if Scantling's going to make the team, but the injury certainly isn't going to help him in any chance of him getting an opportunity to go out there and prove it. So the wide receiver position is something that a lot of people are knocking on the Bills right now, and having your superstar soon to be, well, hopefully superstar rookie wide receiver out there dropping passes makes a lot of people scratching their head. I know that you probably saw that and saw people asking about it.
Yeah, but we've had our preseason disclaimer before too. I mean, we're warming up, seeing some new passes or new quarterbacks, whatever else. Like, I mean, you can't really doom a player or doom a team based on a preseason game. I mean, it'd be a little bit preemptive to do that. From what I saw from the Bills, I mean, you guys look like a lot better team than you did your first week. I know everyone was, Bills defense, they look awesome, they look awesome. I don't know if that's the Bills defense looked awesome or if it was because they were playing the Steelers. I mean, remember the Steelers last year were ranked 25 on offense. It wasn't like, you're playing against a top tier offense. Russell Wilson was an embarrassment. All you Raiders fans that all
terrible.
flipped out, all
They're
the
terrible.
Raiders fans that flipped out about Russell Wilson. Oh, come over here. I hope that now you can just be quiet, because if you watch Russell Wilson last night, you realize Steelers are in a lot of trouble if that's what they're going to go with.
Well, and listen, what is quickly forgotten about with him is they only got him for $1.5 million, I think. Imagine being Denver. They're still on the hook for a guy who probably isn't even going to start after a week or two for $37.5 million. So I think it's an awesome opportunity for Fields to step up and take the job. I mean, I just feel like he was more of a threat.
Which I don't feel like he did that game either. I don't feel like Fields went in there and did he look better than Wilson? Yeah. Did he look good enough that I was kicking myself that, I wish we would have gotten Fields? No. In my opinion, both offenses in that game were pretty sluggish as far as neither one of them could make some key plays.
I agree.
The defense
it poured all day.
were okay.
It poured all day there. It poured all day
Yeah,
before the game,
yeah.
and you knew Josh didn't play because of it. You knew it was going to be a
Yes.
slugfest. You knew that
Yes.
no one was going to score many points. Everybody would. Coleman's play where he dropped the ball is. I'm not saying that it's a half-ass play, but when you're playing in crappy conditions, it's not uncommon to see professionals kind of dogging on plays once in a while because it's wet and they don't want to get. He was coming right off the line. He had his guy beat. I feel like if it wasn't Mitch Trubisky and it was Josh gunning the ball in there, one, he makes the catch, and two, he probably gets smacked because that safety was bearing down on him. That's what he was thinking about. He didn't want to get whacked. He didn't want to get whacked in August. Now, let's say it's a big game in November. It may be a lot different, I would hope. But at the same time, just in watching that game, you could tell that the field and the conditions certainly played a role in the reason why everybody was very sluggish, but not Johnson.
Plus, the timing is going to be different too. I guarantee you that Josh Allen is throwing that football in there a lot harder than Trubinsky is. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
there's a whole timing thing there that they're figuring out too, as far as switching over with Trubisky or Josh Allen, and the whole it is preseason and all that. But
Ray Davis is going to shine in games.
I was more concerned about
like
Steelers' offense because you weren't playing Josh Allen. You did have some competition on your second string going on. Steelers were playing what they got. I mean, that's that was kind of alarming for me, especially because for Raiders guys, both Wilson and Fields came up on the radar as far as, are we going to pick these guys up? As soon as we got Getsy, we couldn't pick up Fields because Getsy got the job over here because he blamed Fields for everything. So as soon as we got Getsy, I knew that there's no way we're going to bring Fields over here, because then I guess you did suck as an offensive coordinator. So he was always out. Wilson, everyone said he's so cheap. Let's pick him up. Honestly, from watching Wilson, I don't like either of my quarterbacks. I will take them both over what we watched from Wilson. That was embarrassing.
He's cooked, especially in a shitty day like that.
Was
like the rain like that.
There. Where did he come from?
I don't know.
Like he came out and he took Russell Wilson down. I didn't even know who the heck he was. He was only out there for.
Greg Rousseau, he's our best pass rusher that we have on this team.
That was awesome.
But he's going to be, he's another one of those guys over the last 2 years that when he's out there, he's fantastic. But when he gets injured, he misses large chunks of time, and that's something that we just can't afford anymore. And this is a contract year for him too. G. There are a lot of teams that are going to be interested in signing a guy like him. And the thing with the Bills that a lot of people don't realize, even Bills fans, is that McDermott rotates. You watch Crosby. Crosby's on the field first, second, third down, no matter what, right? The Bills rotate a great deal. Guys like Rousseau and guys like Von Miller and guys that want to go get the quarterback, they love playing on teams like ours because they can just hit the gas on 2 plays. But at the same time, when he hits free agency and he's got to go play on another team where he's out there every single play, it's going to be a big adjustment for him. So I think that this is going to be a big season for him to show everybody what he's got. And I feel like, knowing the Bills have tons of money to spend next year, because they do, he's a homegrown player, and hopefully he'll take a little bit less to stay here. And he's somebody that 2.5 sacks in 3 drives? What was it, G? I know he had 2 on 1 drive, so he was a nightmare.
The one that he just downed Wilson. I mean, it was. I thought.
He threw the tackle out of the way and just Russell Wilson had no chance.
Najee, all that. Yeah.
No chance. Yep. And him with a healthy Von Miller who can do 80% of what he used to do, plus already a very strong defensive line. Bills are going to be scary up front, especially in shitty days. I'm sorry, I keep swearing, but on crappy days like it was in Pittsburgh, we have a lot of those up here where they're going to need to make plays at the line of scrimmage and get after the quarterback so he can't get out of that pocket. And, Rousseau is a long, huge guy who can make plays. And there's another homegrown player on the other side, AJ Epinesa, who is built very much like Rousseau, who has made some crazy plays with long arms like Rousseau. So I'm very excited to see this defense continue to do what they did to the Steelers. And again, they were very vanilla. Bernard wasn't in there. We're going to get Cole Bishop, that safety that we drafted, who I've been very excited to see out there. He's back this week. You got Hamlin went down. They're banged up. So this preseason game, let's get out of it healthy. Let's get ready for the Cardinals, and let's continue to just amp up this defense, give that front defensive front an opportunity to go after the quarterback and make some plays.
What do you think your biggest problem area is? Based on preseason sort of play, what is your biggest concern?
Safety. I feel like teams are going to
Safety.
attack free safety. Fine, excuse me. Free safety is a concern. Strong safety a concern, right? So Teron Johnson can cover a lot of big name players out of the backfield or the tight ends, but teams are going to try to develop mismatches against us where they're attacking those safeties. And, that's why it's crucial for our defensive front to get to the quarterback this year. If they don't, teams are going to challenge that, and they're going to do it a lot, knowing that Cole Bishop's back there. He's going to be a rookie that's playing quite a bit, and there's going to be a lot of new faces on this defense. So that's the number one thing on that side of the ball. And then on offense, the receivers that are going to make plays. We know that Shakir can do it with Stephon Diggs in the lineup. Now he's going to be the main man. Obviously, Coleman is going to need to step up and make a huge impact right away if we're going to have any success early on in this season, because I really think it's going to take a while for them to gel and get it going. Now, last year we were 6-6. We won the division and everything, was forgotten. But I don't want it to get to a point like it has the last 2 years where, we're battling for literally our playoff lives down the stretch. Let's wrap it up a little bit early. Let's use our experience and be great and win games that are very close instead of losing them. Let's lean on our coach's experience and hopefully he can come out on top. Those are the things that concern me more than anything else. I know Josh will be good. I know Josh is going to use the tight ends. I know he's going to use the running backs quite a bit. Like I said, the receivers are a very big concern. If those rookies come in and can contribute, Samuel comes off the bench after being hurt, gets back in there and contributes. We make a move maybe late in the season to get a free agent, wide receiver, who knows. I'm very hopeful and very, excited, confident about the season because most people are counting us out. But they forget that we have that X factor in Josh, and we have a great coach. We have a great defensive-minded coach, and this will be the first year that he really gets to show what he has. Everything, like with the mistakes that he's made with 13 seconds and everything else, this is the year, Sean, that you don't have your safeties back there that you had from day one with Hyde and Poyer. You got some new guys back there, and you got to coach them up and you got to show them what to do. How is that going to fit into this defense? How is that going to change? If it doesn't change at all and we continue to be the strong force that we've been and holding teams, making them do things that they don't want to do, then great, we'll be fine, because I know this offense is going to find a way with 17 back there. So the number one concern, receiver on offense, defense is safety. If those two positions can handle their business and do what everybody, is saying they're not going to be able to do, we'll be fine. And this year will be a year that I really think the Bills are going to surprise a lot of people. I really do.
Kind of interested to see what kind of year James Cook has too. I really enjoyed watching him last year. So I'm kind of interested to see if he steps up. I mean, preseason, hasn't been his thing because it's preseason. But I'm really curious to see if he grows even more this year. I love watching running backs do their thing. Najee Harris on the Steelers is actually one of my guys I love watching. I usually pick him up in my fantasy leagues as well. But James Cook, I think, is going to be somebody to watch this year, especially if you don't have that wide receiver depth. You don't have all those tools out there. James Cook is going to be essential in moving that flag. So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
A lot of people are against what that take because you have Josh Allen. Why don't you should be throwing it? The new way of playing is throwing and this and that. People are not going to like the way that the Bills win football games this year. But when we get to Halloween and they're 6-2 and they're scratching their heads saying this team stinks, how are they 6-2? I'm not going to be surprised because I've been very down on the coach. Maybe not so much on the show, but definitely off of it. And
I think a lot of fans are up and down with him.
But the one thing that
last night about that,
the one thing that he's always been able to do, especially in the regular season, maybe not so much in the playoffs, he's been able to make incredible defensive game plans. I think back to when, the Bills, where everybody had written us off last year, and the Cowboys came in here with their big, shoot them down offense that they had, and the Bills stuck it right up there, what. And guess what? After the Cowboys came in here and the Bills showed everybody else what they needed to do against them, they stunk. Sean has been instrumental in building some game plans that crush other teams for the remainder of the season, So, I don't know. We're playing against a lot of teams that we've played against, over these years, a lot of quarterbacks that and they've had a lot of film on. I'm excited because this is a big year for him. He's got a lot to prove to me, and I love to be proven wrong. If he can go out there and really coach up this defense, it will go a long way in the success of the Bills this season.
So moving on here to my game.
Whoa.
What's up?
One more, I forgot. We do have another rookie, I think, that is going to not only make the rotation at corner in Daquan Hardy, but a dude that we have a huge need in the special teams game. He's a great returner. Fast like, flash fast. So another guy, the diamond in the rough that we really didn't expect to see much out of, but that's another guy who I think, again, is going to make this team, who's going to be tough for us, and somebody that a position that we needed desperately that we're now not going to have to spend any money on. It's nice to have, rookie money, and we're not going to have to go out and try to get somebody there. And that was another plus to a tough weekend with injuries for the Buffalo Bills. That's all I got.
Injuries have kind of been
plaguing you guys. Brutal.
I would say past 3 years even.
It's funny because when McDermott came here, that was his thing. Guys don't get hurt.
He's like a health coach.
And that's what everybody was.
How are his guys getting injured?
I was listening to the guys on the radio today, and they were talking about how in the past, people were saying that the Bills had the best strength and conditioning program and the best, because for a couple of years, dudes weren't going down. And, now it's unfortunate. And look man, we got studs on our team. There's a lot of ballers. And when one of them goes down, it's huge. But the next man up mentality is something that McDermott lives by. And honestly, they're going to have to make it happen. Losing Milano stinks, but I really think Dorian Williams and the kid from Lancaster are going to be battling it out for that position, and I can't wait to see what happens. To imagine having a kid from your own town coming in and playing middle linebacker imagine being that kid's family. Oh my God. How awesome.
I get my own helmet.
They probably would get a police escort to every game. They would just have a band walking them all the way down to the game. That would be amazing, man. That would be so fun. That's so cool.
Yeah, he's grown up watching this team. Of course, he better make it. But if he gets cut from this team, it might suck to go sit there in the stands and watch him after that. So,
the only way he gets cut,
he's successful.
I think he's making the team no matter what. The only way anything happens with him is if we sign some free agent, and just because McDermott pulls some craziness. But there's no way. This is a home run for the Bills. He's cheap. He's fast. He can play. And in a time right now where we need somebody to fill in for Milano, this kid's going to get a shot to do it.
So on the Raiders front, I am the opposite of where you're at with the Bills here. I came into this game, I was actually excited about playing Dallas. I thought that Dallas could expose some things if they were a problem, and fortunately, that's what happened. Is they exposed some things that were a problem for us. I'm gonna start. I guess to me, honestly, the only highlight that I'm seeing of this team is our special teams. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really good to have special teams. I mean that's great. I just wish that my only highlight that I really have is that Tucker's doing a great job returning the ball. I wish I had a little bit more than that to offer for positives, but that's really the main highlight that I'm seeing right now. Special teams is doing great. We've been, Nation has been hyping about our defense is awesome. Our defense is awesome. They're amazing, blah, blah, blah. I really did not see an amazing defense out there against the Vikings. I didn't see an amazing defense out there against Dallas, especially against the run. I have no idea what is going on with our defense. It actually started last season. We had some problems with it too, but it has been almost embarrassing here on these two preseason games, these teams that have been running on us. I mean, Dallas, okay, whatever, but like Vikings too, just running right through us as many yards as they feel like getting on the run. We got to be able to stop that. We need to have a defense that can stop that. Everyone's like, well, we have a top 10 defense this year. Top 10 defenses are not allowing someone to just run over you. We need to fix those issues. And I get it. It's preseason, and I get all that. But defense has me worried. I was expecting that my takeaway was going to be our defense is solid. Special teams looks good. We got to do some work on our offense. That's what I thought my takeaway was going to be. But unfortunately, I'm at the place of we need to work on our defense. We need to work on our offense. Special teams is fine. I will say cornerback position has been making me happy. That's nice to see. We've had cornerback issues in the past. I love watching Jack Jones out there. He's great for the team. It's funny because there was all this controversy. I mean, AP pretty much had to talk Jones onto the team because there was controversy about picking him up. Oh, he's got an attitude, all those kind of things. Whatever. He loves being a Raider, and he loves playing like a Raider. Him, shoving out of bounds and all those kind of things yesterday when, you got to catch on him and everything. That's what I want to see out of my Raiders. So, that's a highlight. We don't have the depth at cornerback at this point, but I am happy with our cornerback room. The game itself, watching the game, I have been on the show saying, Minshew is the guy compared to O'Connell. Okay. If you go just based on Dallas game, O'Connell was the better quarterback for that game. I thought that O'Connell had a better command of the offense. I saw him, doing his reads. He had some, really great passes where they should be. He definitely outplayed Minshew in that game. The decision, AP says the decision to go with Minshew is obviously not based on one game. It's based on what they're seeing in practice and all that. But one of my complaints, and I talked about it last week, we needed to see Aiden out there for more of that Vikings game. It wasn't, that competition through those two games was not really set up, if we want to call it a fair competition. I mean, Aiden was out there for one drive with our starters. Minshew was out there for several drives without our starters. Minshew definitely played better than Aiden did in the Vikings game. Aiden played better than Minshew did in the Dallas game. And it's hard to compare the two. If we would have let Aiden play more in that Vikings game, I feel like there would have been more game time scenario to compare the two. Instead, we wasted a bunch of drives with Anthony Brown Jr. out there when we should have just, put Aiden back out there to see
Anthony
see
Brown Jr.
Yeah, you're a new
Let's
guy. Yeah,
go.
well, while I was walking out of the stadium, he was playing. So
Look,
that's great.
I don't think any quarterback in the silver and black is getting a fair shot or a fair look without Bowers and Adams in there. Until you can really feel like the coach has already made up his mind on who they're going to put in there, but they're just doing this dog and pony right now to give the fans a little bit of something to talk about. But it's interesting to me that they're setting themselves up to look like they're going to struggle. And I'm really, really concerned. Me and you talked a little bit before the show started. They're one of the front runners in Vegas to have the first pick in the draft next year. And I just don't want to argue with that point because, man, those quarterbacks are both terrible. And until you get that blue chip tight end back and Devontae Adams in the lineup, it's going to be tough.
I think that the biggest problem with this whole QB competition is I don't think AP likes either of them. I think that's the problem. Is I don't think he wants to work with either of them. He's not happy with either of them. And like I said last week, they're literally competing to be mediocre. It's not like we're competing to see who's Josh Allen and who's Mahomes. We're competing to see who the best QB2 would be.
And you're going to look. You're going to look mediocre without your best two offensive weapons in the lineup. And it's just like a no-win situation for both of them. I don't know. Until they have all of their bullets, it's just really not fair. It's just not a fair fight.
I'm also hoping that we have a lot better, offensive strategies, than what we're seeing preseason, which I think is almost a given as far as, the offense that you're seeing in preseason is just to, throw some balls out there. But, I'm not seeing that double tight end offense that I was hoping for. It would have been nice. They did have Bowers out there for the Vikings game. They had him out there with Aiden for his drive.
Yeah, but he got banged up. Didn't he get hurt in camp? Didn't he do? Yeah, they're taking it easy with something. I thought he was questionable. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought he had something going on.
Bowers is good, and they did utilize him on some plays there with the Vikings, but they didn't have him out there for Minshew. Minshew didn't get Bowers out there, and then they didn't have him out there, to do anything here. But I really wanted to see that double end, that double tight end sort of offense. For the reason why I think I'm scared that we went with Minshew. I was thinking about it while I was watching the game. To me, the quarterback that he chose is based on what he thinks about our offensive line. So Aiden is the quarterback you go with that your offensive line can hold that pocket, give him time. He's going to drill it down the field. It's going to be accurate, and we're going to go. He's that Tom Brady kind of quarterback. Give him a pocket, let him work. Minshew is the guy of pockets constantly collapsing. I need a guy that's going to run. I need a guy that's going to, get some yards or, sweep out, make that pass on the run, all those kind of things. So by going with Minshew, he's confirming what I watched with Dallas, which is our offensive line is not going to be able to provide that great pocket for that quarterback. I mean, we were collapsing, pretty quick. And Aiden is not the guy that can handle that. Aiden needs, that's why we got him. He literally was brought onto this team because what they wanted at the time was a quarterback that was going to stand in the pocket and drill it down the field. That's what they wanted. That's what Aiden is. So to me, by going with Minshew, what AP is saying is I give up. Our offensive line, granted, once again, our two starters, our new starters are not out there. I get that. But to me, by going with Minshew, what he's saying is I think that our offensive line is going to be a mess, and I need a guy that's going to be rolling out of the pocket all the time and scrambling up the field. And honestly, to do what Justin Fields does, maybe just not as good as what Justin Fields does.
Keep you in games.
It's hilarious to me because we got the offensive quarter that said Justin Fields tanked his team, and then what we did is we went out and we found somebody that was Justin Fields-like. So,
teams that are searching for that franchise quarterback go through exactly what you're going through every single until they get it. I was in quarterback purgatory for 17 years. I could name every single one of the guys that came through here, and all of them and some of them or none of them have some exactly. I could the traits that you're naming on these quarterbacks, are the keep the drive alive guys, like all that. He's good on the check down guys. That's Trent Edwards.
Yeah.
He's a guy that can push it down the field. That's J.P. Lossman. He's the guy that like he's gonna make a play. That's Fitz. But he makes a mistake. That's Fitz. But he played for every team in the league. That's Fitz. Like we've had every journeyman quarterback come through here, and I've heard this baloney that you have to, tell people, because the fact of the matter is your coach, your franchise is going to do what they have to do to stay in games, and these are the guys that do it. Dudes like Minshew are guys that are going to keep drives alive, keep keep people interested. And until you get that franchise quarterback, this is what you're going to have to deal with.
I like both of these guys as a QB too. I would be,
Yeah.
more
Yes.
than happy with either of these guys as a QB two. It's just that they are not QB1 material. I mean, maybe I'll eat those words.
No, not in your
I think
division. No way. No way.
I'm hoping I eat those words, but I think that's why the Minshew decision worries me. Is not only necessarily is Minshew going to be good enough? To me, it's AP looking at what we have and saying, okay, we're going to need a quarterback that's running away all the time because we can't set up a pocket. To me, our chance of success this year was going to be if we could hold that pocket for a little bit and we could, do those little plays to the tight ends. I don't mind moving up the field 8 yards at a time, 10 yards at a time. Establish the run game, do those little tight end passes, play to the strengths that O'Connell has, which is not, bombing it down the field 80 yards every time. It's making those, key throws within 20, 30 yards. That's where, if you look at his pass chart, that's where he shines. That's where he does really well. So, two tight ends that can both extend the play and both get those catches and all that, would have given him that opportunity. So I was looking forward to, okay, actually what you kind of just said, it might be a boring game for people, but we're gonna duke it out. We're gonna
Yep.
go those 8 yards, 10 yards down the field. We're gonna hold the ball for a lot of the game because our offense is just gonna slowly move it up the field. I'm fine with all that.
You're going to rely on your defense. You're going to want some special teams plays like you talked about when you started. All
Yes.
this, welcome to purgatory until you get a quarterback talk, because that's exactly what you're doing.
I guess if I have to talk Minshew up a little bit for Raiders fans, there once was a journeyman quarterback that people had doubts about. He did some time on the Vikings, did some time on the Redskins, did some time on the Chiefs. Everyone thought maybe it's a bad decision to bring him over here. He played 6 seasons for us. His first 4 seasons, there you go. His first 4 seasons, he was a 4-time Pro Bowler, brought us to the Super Bowl 2002, NFL MVP. So, maybe Minshew is our next journeyman success. Maybe he's, of course, then I say that, and then during the game, the person that Rich Gannon talked up was Aiden. He didn't talk up Minshew, who has a similar experience to Gannon. Gannon talked up AOC. But, maybe Minshew is, everyone loves Gannon. Maybe Minshew is our.
Everyone
is our
does
next
not
Gannon.
love Gannon.
But,
Everyone, you might love Gannon. I was about to say. Oh my God! Don't get me started on Rich Gannon Super Bowl performance, losing me that Super Bowl square that we've talked about a bunch of times. If you ever bring up that freaking loser's name on this podcast again,
the most. I think that's why he's so special.
I can't even believe you just said his name. I almost want to just walk off.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to look in the bright side here. I'm trying to be positive a little bit, trying a new thing out here in my life.
All right, this will be the first time I ever do this, but Rich Gannon brought 2 strengths to the table. He could get out of the pocket and go get the first down, and let's be perfectly honest, the Raiders' offense that he brought to the Super Bowl was stacked. Tim Brown, Jerry
It
Rice.
it was almost like a Cowboys sort of offense back in the
They
day.
were awesome. I remember, I'll
Stack them
never
and then just
forget,
put somebody out there.
the Bills had gotten Drew Bledsoe in that time frame, and we've talked about Drew on this show. And the
Mhm.
Raiders came here. It was a beautiful day. It was hot, and I think they beat us like 48-28 and just blew us out. And honestly, that was the day that I really, really started to hate the Raiders because there was a bunch of Raiders tools dressed like you are tonight, right behind me, sweating in like 85-degree weather. I'm like with a hoodie on.
Face paint running.
I'm like, this dude was like 400 pounds. I'm like, I wonder what it smelled like under that terrible hoodie that he had on. But seriously, it was terrible. I don't know. Like, Rich Gannon was really good. Minshew has a long way to go to even be in that discussion. And for you to have a journeyman that came in and actually shined, I mean, God bless you, because there's only been a couple things. I think him and Kurt Warner are the only ones you could even compare to each other with the success. Obviously, the dude came back, wins the MVP that year, and got beat by an amazing Tampa Bay Buccaneers squad in the Super Bowl. But that was probably right, G. That was the last time you guys were, I mean, at the
Well, I
top of
mean,
the mountain.
talking about Tampa Bay, I mean, the journeyman that I would have liked to pick up would have been
Yeah,
Mayfield. You
yeah.
know what I mean? I think Mayfield also. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens this year. But Mayfield was another one of those, successful guys that people said he's got,
I
why would
think
you
he'll
pick him up?
continue
He's
to
got
be a
nothing
stud
left,
down
blah blah
there.
blah.
That division
Now
stinks.
they won't let him go.
Yeah, he's going to be good there. That
Yeah,
division's,
it would have been
he's
nice
going
to
to,
have him.
I think, give him big bucks.
There's a lot of comparisons. Minshew and Lawrence is a big comparison going on the forums and everything else. I when Trevor Lawrence first came to the league, I was a very big fan of Trevor Lawrence. I thought that there was going to be a lot of growth there, a lot of potential, all those kind of things. I don't feel like Trevor Lawrence has lived up to those expectations. I don't think that he has grown exponentially year to year. So as far as like comparing Minshew to Lawrence, if you look at their stats, Minshew has better stats than Lawrence does with less starts. He's got a lower interception rate. He's got a higher IPA. He's got a higher YPG. He's got uh, TO percentages, all those kind of things. He's got better stats than Trevor Lawrence does. So I mean, if you want to compare him to Trevor Lawrence, okay, he has better stats than Trevor Lawrence. In saying that, Trevor Lawrence doesn't really excite me either at this point. Like I said, I don't see a lot of growth there. If we compare Aiden to Minshew over our preseason, Aiden's 21 for 29, Minshew's 16 for 33. Aiden's at 172 yards, Minshew's at 212 yards. Both of them have a pass touchdown. Aiden has that interception and that sack. Aiden's QB rating is 84.3. Minshew's is 79.4. So, they're both comparable stats, and like I said, they're both competing to be okay. It's not like they're competing to be top of their game. And as far as those yards go, Aiden has been out on the field less time than Minshew has as well. If we're comparing all those yards, that interception at Dallas, I mean, that might have been the deciding factor for AP. I think if you asked AP, he wouldn't say that. He would say that it was based on
I
what they've been
think
seeing in
AP
preseason and
is
all
going to,
that.
whatever quarterback starts that Devontae Adams likes the best. That's what's good. Hey, Devontae, who do
Yeah,
you want in there?
and
Okay, that's who's
Devontae
going to be
likes
in there.
AOC. That's
Yeah,
who Devontae likes
I
is
think so too,
AOC.
because they got a little bit of time
So
together. Listen, I want to go a little bit back. I know that comparing these guys to Lawrence, I think Lawrence's last couple games of the season last year certainly have skewed his stats along with your opinion of him for sure, because I know how much you liked him when we were
I did.
talking over
I
the
did. I liked him. I was
last
actually
couple of
upset that we didn't
years.
get him.
But he was horrible down the stretch in games that mattered. They actually lost their division and didn't even end up making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think solely on his performance. He was awful. And look, man, I don't know what it was.
Week to week, he was awful too. It wasn't
It
like,
was
oh,
just
he had a
all
bad game. It was week to
suddenly
week.
just declined so dramatically that it was bizarre. And I'm not saying that, look, I think if you gave Lawrence a Devontae Adams, his stats would skyrocket. If you give a guy like that a superstar that can stretch the field and then he can start utilizing some of the other weapons, Lawrence played in a big time college program and was under the lights for a long time. I don't think it's nerves. I just think the speed of the game has really gotten to him and it's a little bit different now. And as these
Mm.
teams have figured him out and are starting to throw different looks at him, and don't forget, man, most of this league is from the same conference from the SEC that he played in. A lot of these dudes that are playing defense have been playing against Lawrence for years. So they're going to pick up on tendencies. They're going to do things that are going to make it tough for him. But he's a professional. I hope he doesn't bounce back and have a good year. But I mean, if it gets any worse, Jacksonville's got a very serious problem because they paid him a lot of money.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to be, their Burrow or whatever
Exactly.
else,
No,
and
he's not supposed
he
to be.
hasn't.
He is, I mean, he signed the big deal. So I don't know, I like the comparison, and it's an interesting because obviously the stats are matching up. I just think with Lawrence's talent compared to those other guys, you give him Bowers and you give him Devontae, that dude's going to rip it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe
I
one of
I
those two
thought the
will too.
same.
Who knows?
I thought
So
the
we'll
same
see.
thing about Mayfield. You bring Mayfield over here,
Oh yeah,
with the
yeah,
talent that we got, and
yeah.
we had a chance at Mayfield before he made it big over there, and
I think he
we
likes
didn't
Mike
take it.
Evans. I think he likes playing with Mike Evans, and I mean, why wouldn't you? The guy's going to the Hall of Fame, and it's a nice combination.
Yeah. Moving more into our offense, Raiders are that run team. We're supposed to establish our dominance on the run. It's our field. We have yet to see that in either game. We are not establishing that run. We're not making them, pay on the ground. We are just not doing that. I have no idea what our offensive strategy is because everyone was saying that they were worried about Getsy's offense was going to be all running, way too much running. We want to see the blah, blah, blah. We have yet to see that. So I'm really curious to see if there's some kind of crazy different offense that we're about to see when the season starts. But in this preseason, I'm very concerned about our run game. And when we have two quarterbacks that are mediocre quarterbacks, we need to at least be able to establish a run. I mean, one, we need to move up the field, but we also need to take, some pressure off our quarterbacks as far as to be able to dump that ball on the run, or at least to have them play our runners so we can hopefully open some things up, for our tight ends or downfield. And right now, they don't have to watch for our run game at all. It's not going anywhere. And I don't, people might say, oh, I bet you wish that you didn't make some trades with Green Bay right now. But I don't think that's the case. I feel like we're not getting those holes opening up. We're not getting that push that we need. I have a lot of confidence in Zamir White. I was really excited about Madison. I think that Madison can mean a lot for us too. But for whatever reason, we opening up those holes and we are not establishing that run. Once again, it's preseason. We're down two of our guys that are supposed to, really help us out here. But it's been bad watching this offense. I have very, based on what we've seen, I have very little confidence in our offense. Hopefully, there's some dramatic changes. Receiving wise, I actually like our depth at receiver. I'm pretty happy with our receivers. I love watching Trey Tucker. He's phenomenal to watch. He's been having some good games. Wilkerson's been stepping it up a little bit. Mayer had nice little moments there. Like throwing the ball, we look good, and that's the funny thing is that we have two quarterbacks that can't keep on pushing that ball down the field, and receiver is where we're best at right now. It's just a mess. Like imagine if you gave Josh Allen our Devontae Adams and Trey Tucker and Wilkerson and our two Bowers and our two tight end. I mean, it would be crazy. It's
I,
just
I
we need to fix this quarterback position. We're not going to do it this year. We're just not.
I
And we were
watched a
talking before the
lot.
show.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, bud.
We were talking before the show. I think that this may be our last year where we have Adams, because how are we going to keep on, holding on to Adams, or why would Adams stay in silver and black? Adams wants his name in lights. Adams wants those records. Adam wants, things carved in stone. And in order to do that, he needs a quarterback that's going to be feeding him so he can
Right.
get those yards.
Yeah,
So
and
his frustration level has got to be huge.
I feel like the Colton Miller comeback. I know he was banged up with the shoulder. I know that you drafted a lot of guys in the for the offensive line, and I feel
We
like
did.
as this, it's going to take some while for those guys to gel. But I remember talking about it during the draft show. Those dudes are gigantic men who, once
They
they can
are.
figure it out and stay healthy on the field, whatever quarterback's back there is going to have a little bit of extra time compared to last season. And when that happens, everything kind
I think
of,
when that happens, we see Aiden back out there.
well, not
Honestly,
only,
I'm not sure Minshew is gonna be our permanent starter here.
I think it's going to open up the run game and what it's going to do. If a quarterback has time to get it to those weapons, then that's when, I watched your game the other night. And again, it's preseason and everybody knows that your big dogs aren't in there. They were packing the box. There was 8 guys in the box every time. They knew you were going to run the ball. They knew that, what was coming almost every single time, and left little opportunity for any type of, especially between the tackles, because there was just too many guys there. And it's easy to do that when you don't have your studs playing. And, teams, we did that. We did that against the Steelers. We knew Russell Wilson isn't going to gun it over the middle. We knew that. So it's early on, and we got a long way to go. But I think the one thing that you can look forward to in moving forward will certainly be the development of your offensive line, because there's some young guys in there that definitely have some pedigree to have some success.
We're gonna need to develop it, because we if we don't have the run, then we can't make up for our quarterback issues. So I mean, I always feel that preseason is way too early to start panicking. I mean, it's funny on Facebook forums and everything, everyone's all upset, like, oh, we're doing worse than last year because we used to win our preseason games, and now we're losing them, and it's great. We were preseason heroes. That's great. Like, nobody cares about winning, and in fact, it's proven over and over again that your victories in preseason are not the standard for how your season is going to go. So I'm not worried about not winning all of our preseason games and all that. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried that our defense does not look as good as we've been saying it was going to be. I'm worried about that run game, and I'm worried about the quarterback position. The quarterback position is what it is. We're not going to fix that this year. We had a decision at the draft. Did we want to only fix the quarterback and leave everything else just decimated, or do we want to try to fix some other areas and then focus on a quarterback next time? I'm not mad at the decision that we made. I like what we did, but this year I think is going to be a waste of it's going to be a waste of Devontae Adams, but it's going to be a waste of some talent. If our program had not been running to the ground the past 2 years, then this year I think would have been a really good year for us. But no one wants to say the words rebuild. But essentially, we're trying to. We'll say we're recovering from the horrible decisions that have been made for this franchise for a couple of years, and you don't just turn that around in one year. AP is going to have to show something, though, if he's going to stick around as a coach. I really want AP to work out. I like AP a lot. I think he is, the epitome of what Raiders, should be. But we've been saying on the show many times, he has to win games. He can't just be the Flava Flav of the NFL. Like, he has to win games. We need more than hype man. His coaching decisions for Dallas, I thought was good. I liked what he was doing with the clock there. To our defense didn't help him out or anything, and our offense didn't either. But he made some good decisions there with the clock, so that was good. That was good to see.
I think that if we go out there and that offensive line winds up, being able to hold those pockets, it'll be interesting to see if Minshew thrives in that environment as well, because that's Aiden's territory, is sit in a pocket and make those passes. I'm hopeful that with our full offense out there and some better planning, we have something to look forward to here. But I think it's going to be a very rough year to be a Raiders fan. I think we're going to have to keep on telling ourselves we're trying to fix this. We're trying to fix this. It's going to be one of those kind of years where we're going to be dropping some bandwagon fans this year, for sure.
Well, I mean, the Raiders have been a franchise that have kept their loyal fans like James, who we had on the show, and yourself around for a while. But you're right, man. I feel like every year they lose more and more. Obviously, moving from Oakland was huge, and now it's more of a circus and exploit this team to make some money with the tickets, and it's sad. Do you see them possibly, if things aren't going well, going out and doing what the Bills are doing right now, trying to find some other free agents that can make it happen? Or are you looking at them, tanking to basically have a chance at, like Deion Son, or who's the quarterback from Georgia? I know you like Georgia. They're the two big quarterbacks that'll be coming out next year, right? I mean, is that something?
To me, I could see a move at the end of preseason. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of capital to make a really huge move. I mean, our capital would be draft picks and Devontae. That's pretty much what our capital is. In saying that, I don't know if AP is going to make that move, because I don't think that he wants to. If they wanted to burn it all down for a quarterback, they could have done that in the draft. Reports say that tried to do that.
That's not what I mean. Do you
There's no
think
free agent out there that I'm going to be interested in for.
They would be cheap anyway. I mean, do you see that they leave your two boys in there that are going to be mediocre at best? You've made it very clear. Yeah. You let it ride out. You probably lose Devontae. This season is a shit show, and then you're in line to have a shot at a first-round pick. Do you see at some point you throwing your hands up in the air and being like, well, here we are? Or do you think, your schedule's rough, man. You got to go on the road for two tough ones right off the bat. A Chargers team that wants to kick your ass because of what happened at the end of last year with that 63-20, and then you got to go to Baltimore. Good luck. You're setting up these two dudes for disaster, and I would hate to see, 1 week Minshew played, and the next week, the young guy plays. I don't know, man. I'm obviously not a fan of your team, but they've set up a season that could be very, very destructive, and very destructive quickly.
I think that the plan was not to do that originally. Believe the reports that we tried to move up in the draft. We got told no. I think that we were trying to go at some new quarterbacks. So I think that what we have right now was not the original plan or design. In saying that, I think that where we're at right now, I would almost say it's probably the best plan to wait it out and see what we can do next year. Even if that means losing Devontae next year, we do have some depth at wide receivers. There are other wide receivers out there. It doesn't matter if you have Devontae Adams and don't have a quarterback to throw to him, then what's the point of having him? Right. I mean, I love Devontae Adams. I love watching him out there. But if you don't have anybody that can feed him, then he's a wasted body out there. At most, what he's doing for us is he's pulling those double and sometimes triple teams to hopefully free up some of our other wide receivers. But if you have a really good receiver and no one that can feed him the ball, then we're wasting his time and we're wasting our own time. So I could see maybe a preseason, end of preseason move, maybe. But I kind of feel like, at this point we're stuck with riding it out and seeing, what's going to happen. I think if the decision was to go for a quarterback, we would have done that. We would have done that already. I think that we decided that at the draft. I think that what happened is we tried to trade up. That didn't go our way. So we said, okay, plan B is let's target some other areas. And we did target other areas. And I'm excited about what we did for that draft. I think that Raiders fans have got to be patient this year, realizing that, we have to go all in for a quarterback. I don't care if it costs draft picks. I don't care if it costs Devontae Adams. I don't care what it takes. We have to go all in for a quarterback because we can't keep, doing this. I mean, honestly, we would have been much better off. And I'm sure AP is kicking him. I mean, it wasn't his decision, but I'm sure AP is wishing some things went differently because we'd be much better off right now if we had Carr and A for 1 and 2. And you know me, I don't like Carr. I am not a fan of Carr.
No, but he would make Devontae happy. That's his boy. We know the history.
Yes. And Carr is better than either of our two options. Not a fan of him, but he's better than either of our two options. And if AP I guarantee you AP curses what happened before him because with what we're looking at, he would have kept Carr on, picked up. I could still see him picking up AOC. I mean, all things, whatever. Let AOC hopefully develop. But right now we have 2 QB2s. And we do not have a QB1, and there is not another just kind of floating around for us that we're gonna pick up right now. So I think we focus on all of our other areas.
QB purgatory. Welcome to it. You're loving it. It's now been what? Tell me the last time the Raiders had a good quarterback.
Well, see, that depends on what Raider you talk to, because a lot of people would have said Carr. I mean, I'm telling you, my opinion about Carr is a very strong minority in Raider Nation. Everyone loved Carr.
I didn't.
I was frustrated by Carr, but everyone loves Carr. So I guess if you ask most people, they would say Carr.
And what would you say? Gannon? Because that's about it.
Gannon was the last guy that I enjoyed watching. Yeah, I mean, especially for my age. You got to remember, for my age. I mean, people that are older than me might have different opinions.
I mean, even before that, there was nobody that took him to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, you'd be going back to Pops' age.
You'd be going back, yeah.
But
80s.
I mean, Jay Schrader was not very good. I mean, he was for 1 or 2 seasons, but as far as like a little bit of longevity, it's been Gannon. And who since? You guys have been on this track that Bills fans were on for a long time, and it's tough.
It is tough. It is tough. You can only hope. Part of the GM issue was an issue as far as who was making these decisions. So I mean, I do have a little bit of faith. Now that we have a GM in place, our draft was already a lot better draft than I remember. As far as in the past couple of years when I've really been focusing on draft, the draft went better. So to me, Raiders fans, we ride out this season and we look at the areas that we have strengthened up, and next year we need to go all in and to find that quarterback.
Watch him go 2-0.
What else can you do?
Watch him go 2-0 and win 2 road
just
games.
Go out there and just slay it all. Yeah.
You go out, spend a G before your vacation, all new Raiders gear.
Yeah.
I mean, whole new animal. Your boy comes in there, the journeyman Minshew tears it up for the first 2 weeks. They go into showdown.
Hopefully that's the case. I mean, Minshew last year did more with less than what he's got right now. So, maybe he can do more with more here.
I wonder what the juice on them going 1-1 is. Just 1-1. What it's got to be like, I don't know, probably plus 175 or something crazy like that.
We don't do well against. I mean, we keep on doing Chargers opening and never goes well for us. So, I mean, the odds, it might be a good bet actually to put on the Raiders for that game.
Hey, you should hedge it. Go bet them to lose both of those games and see how much cash you can make. Because if they win one of them,
money on this.
If they win one, you're happy as hell. If they lose, get some juice.
Yeah, at least I can make some money on all this. Baltimore was one of the games that we wanted to go to, and
Oh,
we did.
man,
We
those
honestly
tickets
we,
are
we got
nuts.
we got priced out of Baltimore for what we were willing to do with the other stuff that we have, vacations and stuff we have going on.
It's
We got
always
priced
been
right
like
out of
that.
Baltimore. It
Tough.
was cheaper for us to fly down to catch the Miami game. It was literally cheaper just to fly down to Florida to catch that game than go to Baltimore, which is a lot closer to us up here in New York. But
We talked a little bit about this, you and I, considering your next option at quarterback. Nathan Peterman is back in Raiderville. The first time that Josh got a shot, we played the Raiders in the opener a couple years ago. Well, no, Josh's rookie year, and Peterman was the starter. I think he threw 2 picks and got smashed on a play, and then Josh came in and it's been in ever since. So.
yeah, that was the end. Yeah, I mean, he's. I was kind of surprised that he's not more hated than he is over here on this side. I distinctly remember, spending a lot of games, being like, hey, you know what? I think actually that this is going to be okay. And then all of a sudden the game would start and I'm screaming at the TV like, what are you doing? Why? Why is this happening?
He's like a gym class hero. He's like amazing during practice, and
Yes.
then during the game, he's
Yes.
terrible.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
never seen anything like it. Never.
No. And once again, like, at one point we just got rid of them, but at one point we have 4 QBs, all of them competing for who is the best of the worst that we could find. It's not like this, and the media is funny, like they like played up as like this huge competition. Who's gonna win? O'Connell or Minshew, or it's like, but they're both walking in the race. I'm not excited about this competition. I mean,
Well, Peterman's crawling backwards, so don't worry about it.
I'm guessing that we're going to be seeing, for our game next week. My wife has not had the Peterman experience, so she'll get to have that experience next week. And
I'll tell you,
I've already warned her.
I know we're wrapping up. I'll tell you a quick Peterman story. The year we draft Josh, a friend of mine invited me out. He's got great seats in the bowl, so I go down. They played the Bengals. It was a night game, and Peterman stinks. It was brutal. Josh came in. I think he started in the second half, and obviously there was some severe hype, but no one had any type of expectation. I can remember we were sitting in the corner, like maybe right around the 25, and there was a play that came right at us, and Josh gunned one like 20 yards over the guy's head. But he gunned one 20 yards over the guy's head, and I just looked at my man, and I was like, well, we know he can throw it. So it was just like that major league moment. Like, remember when Charlie Sheen's, he's coming in to pitch, and the coach is like, we wear caps and sleeves in this league, son. So, nah, but seriously, like, I just looked at him, and we both were like, whoa, what do we got here? And not to say that I was Houdini by any means, but it was nice to have, that memory being at the hands of the most terrible decision ever in Nathan Peterman.
I don't expect good things. I can't even say like, well, he's got a lot of experience to bring to these guys, and he's he's going to be that leader that they need, and you know what I mean.
The names of Bills starters
not.
that I could go down the list of that they had during the drought. There's a guy whose last name was Toole that started for us. We've had some of the most, from top to bottom, a list that is uncomparable. But the funniest and worst name on that list that comes right before Josh stepped in is that Toole, Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, I'm not happy. Looking forward to next week when we get to watch the Peterman show. I always love playing 49ers. That's a really fun rivalry. So I'm always excited to play against them. So next week we got a 49er game. I'm curious to see what's going to go on. Are we going to see O'Connell out there and Peterman out there or what? If he's decided Minshew is a starter, is Minshew going to be sitting next week out and we're going to be watching those two? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how all that works. It'd be hilarious if they put O'Connell out there and then for whatever reason he just like tears it up out there, then that'll be interesting to that whole race that they're having after I think he came out saying Minshew a little bit early. I think that he could have given it at least all 3 preseason games and made a decision there, because I think Aiden needed some more play time to compete, but he didn't get that. Now next week you are going to be gone on vacation, so we're gonna have some guests on the show. I'm gonna bring James back on the Raiders side, and then I think we're going to have Jimmy back on the Bills side. So we'll have some guests next week to talk about it.
A nice threesome you have there. The Bills, obviously, they have Carolina this week, and opportunity for the fans to see Cole Bishop finally come out and suit up. So I'm hoping that he's out there. You never know with the coaching staff and the decision making these days. He may not play. I really think that
Anthony Brown Jr. is out there, because I want you guys all to enjoy what we got to enjoy.
Well, I promise you, Josh won't be. So that's one thing that you can count on.
No.
I think the major thing that people want to see is maybe see Keon Coleman make a play, have Cole Bishop be out there, look good, make some tackles, and really see what's going to continue to happen at the battle for these linebacker positions. It seems to me that the local kid's going to have a very good shot. Dorian Williams continues to be the human missile, as one of our friends always calls him, and Terrell Bernard has already proven that he can do it at this level. So I'm excited. We'll see. Free safety, big question, but other than that, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun trip for me, and a good week for the Bills to kind of regroup, hopefully get healthy, and then be prepared for the Cardinals when they come into town.
Yeah, you're not going to prepare that much for the Cardinals. It'll be okay. It'll be fine.
Can't take anybody lightly, my man. Trust me. Been out there too many times. Jets came in there one year when we were all fired up with Drew Bledsoe and a whole new team, and they beat us in overtime. They returned to kickoff. It was great.
It happens.
No, that was the only time I ever saw it happen. First time I had season tickets. Hey, let's go. First game. It's going to be great up here.
We also got to see the Jets lose their golden child and still beat you guys. So we got to see that too. So, it just seems to be.
That's because our golden child was trying to do too much.
Thank you guys for joining us. As always, give us that like, subscribe, whatever you got to do. Let us know that you're watching. We have one more preseason show left where we're going to be talking about Raiders and Bills kind of exclusively.
Can't wait to listen.
Getting into regular season, this show expands out a little bit. We're talking about what other teams are doing, getting a lot more into some bets to put down. Of course, we got free agency coming up too to see what goes on with that. We got all of our fantasy team stuff going on. We got a lot going on ahead of us. As always,
who are you going to pick? Who are you going to pick if you get your first in your first round? Did you figure out what you don't even know what your round? Yeah, you got to be. Do you know any of your draft picks yet?
So I haven't decided on my strategy yet, to tell you the truth. I haven't decided if I want to try to corner the running back market yet, or if I want to try to go for the quarterback market yet. So I guess I got to decide on what my strategy is going to be. And my 2 leagues are very different leagues as well.
Yeah, I know.
So so I haven't really decided on strategy yet for that. I wouldn't mind having a season with Mahomes as a quarterback. I wanted him last year. I didn't get that. I won't be fighting for Minshew or Aiden to get on my roster. That's for sure. Last year's strategy was to target really good wide receivers, and I picked up Davis and Devontae. So that worked out really well last year. That was didn't wind up playing either of them for the whole last part of the season. So I might not do that strategy this year. So I don't know yet. We got to get into that.
Good luck, and we'll talk real soon.
We will talk about it. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you when the season starts, and we'll see you next week. I think we're also going to go to we're gonna change to explicit for the season. I think that we're gonna be big boys too for the season and get to say naughty words. So I think that'll be fun too. No, there, yeah. Keep that down. Keep that down until we check the little explicit button. That'll be our celebration for game 1. I mean, I wasn't going to go explicit, but after watching my team for the preseason, I think I'm going to need that explicit tag in order to really report on what I'm seeing. So I think I'm going to need that leeway. So,
Those are some adjectives that will certainly be necessary.
yeah, we will see you guys next week.